Hello, and welcome to a bipartisan...
To another episode. You and your bipartisan, tripartisan. And I thought you were going to wait for me to say the Lume plotters, but
Duofold. No. You have to.
Yes.
I just have to slip one in.
Well, you're already showing off what you're wearing on the wrist.
Yes.
I can see it in the camera.
Yeah, I am wearing the Ravi's Submariner from my brother-in-law. So I've put it back on the original bracelet, but I have modded it. Yes, I know. Sacrilege. I actually modded a bracelet. So what I've done is this, because this had this long dive extension that nobody needs, right? So I put this, I think I explained this in the Mahmoud podcast, right?
Yes, you did.
So I put this little click out, half a centimeter, 5 millimeter extension on it. Yeah. So that's what I did, but it fits perfectly well. Of course, has this little stamped clasp, which is not the ideal one. This is what you don't like, right?
The one
because
it always looks like bricks to me.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's supposed to
like
mirror the
fake brick.
Yeah. Yes. It's like the fake brick walls that you can put plaster on the walls.
Exactly.
Some houses and stuff.
So,
yeah, and you?
On my wrist, I'm going to take it off so I can show you a little bit better. I have taken my Hodinkee Mercy LMM02,
Oh, right.
LMMH01. I don't even know what it is.
Right.
And I put it on. It came with a black NATO strap, naturally, because it's got this gray dial and black and gray and blue hands, by the way. So black, gray, and blue goes together fairly well. And then I saw an Instagram post. So I do this a lot for those of you that don't know. I will put in a hashtag for whatever watch. And then you look through and find strap inspirations that you think looks good without you having to go to your box and get all your straps out, right? So I'm like, let's see if anybody has any. And someone had it on a khaki strap, this light beige khaki strap. And I put it on there, and you would say gray and khaki don't go together.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty good, no? Like this.
Yeah, you can live with that. It's not too bad.
It's the reason I have this is the original strap it comes with is one of these like short NATOs. So it's a NATO, but it's like cut off, and it's weird. It's very stiff as well. And my black NATO is I only have one, and it's already being used by the what do I call it? The Speedmaster. So therefore I had to figure something else out. Hence black wouldn't work. But I do have a black and gray, which I haven't tried yet. Maybe that would go. So we shall see. But anyway, yes, so I am wearing a field watch, which is our topic for the day.
Is it a field watch? Now that's the big question.
That's the question of the day. But before we get into field watches, let's talk about some things going on.
I would have. Yeah. Okay. What is going on? What's going on?
I don't know. What is going on with you?
With me, no, not much. I mean, just getting ready for my vacation. I have decided on which watches I'll take. So these kind of
Tell
things.
us, which watch, where are you going?
I'm going with my overseas.
Where?
And a couple of straps. To Germany and Latvia.
Okay. What's in Latvia? I've never been to Latvia.
I've never been to Latvia either. That's why we are going. It's like a few days. First family visit, family and friends in Germany, and then via Latvia we are going back to Dubai. So
okay,
just to see Latvia and Riga. I mean, it's just Riga is just the capital. So we have no idea what to expect. So we will just go there and see the Baltic states. Right? We've never been in any of these. So
yeah.
Furthest I have been there is,
in my opinion,
it's Poland, and of course in Russia I've been, St. Petersburg. But it's not really. There's a bit of a knowledge gap for me. So the Baltic states are cool. So we were going to check one of them out.
Yeah. So I think to expect something similar to when you went to Sweden, Finland, like that's what I have in my mind.
I'm not
because
sure.
it's on the opposite side of the whatever water they have there, right?
Whatever water they have there.
Yeah, I don't know what water Finland has.
The Baltic Sea, Baltic states, right? It's the
Europe
Baltic Sea,
map.
buddy. Yeah.
It's the Baltic Sea.
Yes.
And Finland is on one side, one part of it, and then on the other side of it is Latvia and Estonia, right?
Uh-huh.
Same with Sweden.
And Lithuania.
It is the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, of course it is. It's the Baltic states.
I didn't know. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yes.
Okay. There was a question that was posed to me. Similar.
So I'll take the overseas
water-
because I'm going to the Baltic Sea. And I'm also taking a Casio G-Shock.
Okay.
And I
which
might
is,
take
think,
another
is
one,
a
but
very
I'm
good
not so sure about if I should take a third one. But
I still feel you're very, very ballsy when it comes to these things.
Why ballsy?
Because taking an overseas...
And nobody knows in overseas. That's a good thing. You know, overseas is like,
yeah.
come on. I mean, a Patek maybe, a Nautilus or an AP, Royal Oak, people will know. But my overseas will fly under the radar. No problem.
Okay. I got a question for you then. So...
Also, it will be
What
cold, so
is
they're probably
the
wearing
part
long sleeves,
of-
you know?
Yes. Maybe. I think in Latvia it's going to be cold because it's, up there, up north.
Up to 20.
All right, here's the question.
Okay.
Question.
Mhm.
Because you seem to know your waters and your seas,
Mhm.
what piece of the Mediterranean Sea
Mhm.
is between Italy and Croatia?
The Ionic Sea,
No.
the Pyrrhic Sea,
No.
Pyrrhic Sea, no? The Adriatic Sea.
No. Yes.
See?
So somebody
See,
asked it. I'm like, you know the Mediterranean. And they're like, that's not the Mediterranean. I'm like, yes, it is.
it is.
Turns out
There's
it's
lots
not.
of different little bodies of water. I can't place them exactly, but I remember there's the Ionic
Yeah.
Sea, there's the Adriatic
Well,
Sea. there's-
exactly. But once you
so
tell me
little.
Adriatic, I'm like, yes, the Adriatic. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm saying this is because we're going to Cyprus, and then we're going to go as well to Split.
All right.
And the water temperatures in these two places are drastically different. Because, of course, Cyprus is an island in the middle of the Mediterranean, much, much warmer waters. And apparently it's much colder in the Adriatic. Who knew?
Okay. I'm also
guess it
taking my
makes
Leica
sense.
with
Anyway.
me. If that's
Yes.
because I'm my Leica Deluxe 8. Just
Like
charged it up.
me in Romania.
Check.
I wore a Hamilton and brought a Leica.
Yeah, maybe I take my Doug with me, my Dougie. DUG.
Yeah, bring your Doug. I feel like the what's it called is overshooting.
Well,
I
feel like I want to wear it.
No.
And I can
All
have
right,
the
I'll tell you a
different rubber straps on it, so it's all fine. Last time when I went to Germany, I took my Daytona with me and some other watches.
I know you
it
did.
It doesn't matter. Nobody
And-
cared.
Yeah, I think nobody cares until one person cares, and it
Of
might be
course,
the wrong person.
But yeah,
I
yes.
play it safe. Once again, I used to not. I used to wear all of my watches everywhere. I remember in Thailand going to the fake watches market, wearing my Submariner. I don't know if everybody thought it was fake or not, but
Yeah, but probably. And that's the thing. I mean, look, I don't think anybody can spot necessarily as I said, I don't think it's
a real versus fake.
No, also, I mean, it's the overseas. It's the blue watch. It could be my Dougie Hauser watch, my DUG in a distance. You wouldn't know, right?
True, but still, okay. I'll let you do you. I'm more conservative when it comes to these risks. But I heard a very funny story about a watch that apparently was insured.
Mm-hmm.
It was a guy in the U.S. who had his watches insured with Hodinkee Insurance, right?
Right.
Which Hodinkee does some insurance specifically for watches.
Yes.
And the guy said it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was, if I know, JLC. It was a JLC Master Control, the Master Ultra Thin Moon.
Yes.
And
nice
so this guy, apparently, I mean, once again, this story sounds so bogus, but it was a YouTube video, and he comes out, guns blazing. The insurance didn't accept my claim. Hodinkee Insurance is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And So I'm like, okay, that's very curious. Like maybe I wonder what happened. Like, if the insurance didn't, my first thought was like, screw the insurance is terrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they turned down a very legitimate claim. So the more he tells the story, the more I realize this claim is absolute like nonsense. Like it is just the stupidest thing you could ever do. So the guy says he lost his watch. And that's what the claim is. Is that he has misplaced his watch, and he thought Hodinkee would come running and say, here's your $10,000. And sure enough, they asked him for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, of course. Like a police
Pictures,
report.
and he's
whatever,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't have, and he asked for a receipt. Oh, I don't have it. This and that. Oh, I don't have it. What's the serial number? Oh, I don't know. And everything he said, I'm like, this guy's an idiot. This guy is literally stupid.
This screams either he is really an idiot or insurance fraud.
No, I'm just watching the video,
Yeah.
100%. No. This guy's too stupid for insurance fraud. Like, it was so bad. Apparently, the guys at, what's that Asian doctor guy who had the watch app, Watch Crunch. So now he changed his website or YouTube's channel to The Anachronist.
Yeah, I think he sold WatchCrunch, or this is still there, but he's not. Yeah.
Well, this is apparently his cameraman, and his cameraman was given this watch by whatever the Asian guy, the main guy's name is. So it was a gift.
Yeah.
And then he misplaced this gift. And I'm just thinking, like, if you're an insurance agent, like adjuster, it's red flag after red flag after red flag.
I don't understand this. How can you even insure the watch without the serial number? That doesn't work.
I insure all of my watches without serial numbers.
Yeah, but not on Hodinkee insurance.
No, even Hodinkee, you don't. He mentioned Hodinkee Insurance didn't ask any questions when you do, because this is how insurance agents work. They don't care what it is until you need a claim. And that's exactly how all of this stuff works, right?
Damn, yeah.
So essentially, when time comes to claim it, you've already kind of have the policy. Then they will do their due diligence to make sure you own this watch. Once again, if you have something stolen, my insurance says specifically you have to have a police report and blah, blah, blah,
of
blah,
course.
right?
I mean, that is
like a bunch of things.
That is the bare necessity is that you have a police report. You can't just claim, it was stolen.
But can you believe this guy with these audacity? And then he makes this whole video about it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, already this guy looks like an idiot, right? He might be a great cameraman, but he does not seem like a very trustworthy individual.
No, and also doesn't. Go on.
It just seems like to me, like, okay, like, could it have been stolen? Could you have gotten a police report? Could you have done a few extra steps to kind of justify, like, verify what has gone on? He did none of this. And he's complaining how many phone calls he had. And I'm thinking, like, of course, because they're going to pay out $10,000 to you who has insured one watch on one policy that was recently acquired, a recent policy. And I'm like, everything seems so sketchy. What is to stop him from selling it, right?
Of course. If that would work, imagine what everybody would do.
Exactly.
So that. And that would be the end of the insurance.
Proponent of hating insurance companies. Sided with the insurance company.
I know. We are all hating insurance companies because they promise you the moon, and the moment you need something, it's like, oh yeah, optical is covered, dental is covered. And then the moment you use it, it's like, did you read the fine print?
So,
no.
But it was so funny. You look at the comments in this, and everyone says you're an idiot. Like that's all the comments. So, in much the same way, insurance companies generally are not exactly the most trustworthy individuals. I'll give you an example. The insurance company I had for the Pajero that was in a hailstorm, right? The hail damaged Pajero. When you call them to sign the policy, you immediately get a hold of someone. Everyone is immediately very attentive,
of course,
because they're trying to sell you. As soon as you try to make a claim, no one is anywhere to be found. Right?
They have 100 people in sales, but one person in the claim department.
Maybe the 1%. And he works 2 hours a week. So then, guess what else happened? I tried to renew the insurance on the Pajero this year. Apparently, I wanted to switch away from this agency because they were absolute Terrible. And I went to another agency, which I've been using for the Focus. They come back and say, sorry, your car's been flood damaged, so we can't give you insurance. I'm like, what do you mean? They said the previous insurance company marked it as flood damage.
Yep.
And I'm like, but there was no water. There was no water anywhere. It was hail. So I had to run around all these hoops and I had to send them. So once again, this shows you the level of, and this is just to make the claim, the policy, right?
Mm.
They said they wanted pictures all through, so with the damage and showing the damage that was being repaired. I, of course, was visiting the place frequently. I think I was sending you pictures as well while it was happening. Yeah, so I had a ton of pictures. So I was like, here you go. Here's the picture with all the damage. Here's pictures while they were doing the pick welding or whatever you call it, the little pin, bringing out the individual dents. Then here's a picture when they primered it. Here's a picture after it's painted and so forth. And they said, okay, fantastic. Then I sent them the police report as well, which just said nothing about flood, right? It was a generic one, just says storm. And then lastly, they said, okay, last thing we need for you is to go get the yearly inspection.
Right.
And pass it without any issues. And we want you to do it now. So like, I don't have time to fix things, I guess. I don't know. So I said, okay, cool, done. An hour later, I went, got it done, passed it, came back. Gave him the thing, and they said, we want pictures of every angle of the car. So 6 pictures.
What? You're talking about how much insurance are you paying?
Including pictures of all the glass. Because the glass is, of course, insurable. So I sent them all the pictures of that. And then finally they said, done. Okay, we'll insure you.
Wow. And that is, and how much is your insurance premium for the car?
2,000 dirhams.
2,000 dirhams?
Is that a lot or a little?
That's a lot for an old car.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
I mean, look,
the insured value is like 30.
That's what you pay for a Porsche.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, how many claims have you had on the Porsche?
Yeah, 0.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this was a big claim. And switching companies means that you already have a higher premium to start with, and then it'll go down. But how much? I was looking around for these Porsche GTS Caymans that you have. You can get them now for 75, 80,000 dirhams, right?
Depends on which condition. Yeah. I was still under warranty.
So does the insurance care about the warranty? No. How much are they insuring it for?
I don't know.
Because that's a big thing, right?
Of course,
so
it's like 140, 120, I don't know what, something like that.
Or it's extremely little, right? It's either a lot or a little. No one hits it on the spot. And that's kind of one of the issues that we always have.
It's usually they depreciate it every year. They insure you, right? But at some stage, you insure cars like my car, my Touareg, I had to reduce it because they still wanted to insure the car for 100,000 because then the premium was higher. But my car is probably not worth that anymore. It's
ridiculous.
But because the problem is when you do this with insurance, again, it's same with watches. So we make a bit of a segue there. If you have a watch insured for 100,000 and then you have the claim, the watch or the insurance company will still go and say like, what is actually replacement value right now? No matter what you have insured it for. And that's the weird thing most of the time when you're saying, well, it can be good for you because maybe the price went up, right? And that's usually when insurance companies are suddenly switching back to, no, we are just giving you maximum what you insured it for, right? If the price went up. If the price went down, they're saying, no, we just pay market value. And you go like, hey, you cannot pick and choose because I wouldn't be able to pick and choose if I would be in this situation. So, but that's where they always try to do these things. And that's not nice. That's why we don't like really insurance companies when you claim, right? Because they're always saying like, oh, it's so easy. It's all very simple. And then, then it's not. So, coming back to watches. Why do we talk about this in the first place?
Car thing?
Watch insurance.
Because we were talking about the watch insurance.
Yes.
Yeah. But nonetheless, it's just this whole watch insurance thing. Obviously, I tried to do this Hodinkee thing at the beginning. Well, I was like, oh, Hodinkee, I like Hodinkee. Let's insure our watches, and they gave me a redonkulous whatever you call it, premium, which was equivalent, if not greater than, all of my renter's insurance with the watches on it. And this was just for the watches. So it's an absolute joke what these guys are charging. But nonetheless, yes, for those of you that don't know, you can, in fact, put your watches on your homeowner's or renter's insurance and then have some level of protection. You do this? No. Well, you can. And it doesn't cost really much more. It's not a huge amount of money. But it saves you the hassle, and most of the time, they cover you when you're traveling.
Yeah. Mine does. But my problem was that when I wanted to watch, of course, I was a bit, maybe it was a bit stupid, but I wanted to insure all my watches, right? And also my wife's watches. And then suddenly it just went into very high numbers. And I thought, and then they wanted to have a very high premium. And then I thought, oh, that's quite a lot. It's a few $1,000s a year. And I thought, that's not really cool. I rather have a specialized insurance because look, I as a combination, let's say as a yardstick, I used the one from Hodinkee, right? Because they have on their website a bit of an idea. When you're saying, well, let's say a Submariner, coverage amount $8,000, costs you a year $89. Fair enough, right? So you know what you're paying. A Daytona, coverage amount $13,000, which is of course not enough because you won't get it for that money, but you, unless you buy it from the authorized dealer, but it's $145. Then let's say Royal Oak, $26,000, you pay $282 per year. So that's usually quite reasonable, right?
10% per year?
It's not 10%. It's 1%.
Oh, is it? Yes, you're right. Yes.
So
my math is not math.
10% would be terrible.
Very high. 1% is not bad.
It's fair, right? So and that's why I thought, yeah.
But put together a watch collection.
Yeah.
And get a quote for that, and it's going to be a lot.
Sure,
right?
And that's why I also think you would be very selective which watches you actually then insure, right? So, yeah. Maybe I'm overthinking that again now that you made me scared. But on the other hand, I always feel like, come on, you only live once, and then why should I not? I mean, okay,
well, at
you
the
shouldn't
end
flash
of the day,
if you're going to the hotspots. Let's say if you're going, when you listen to this episode, I will be already back, so I don't I don't give anything.
You
away.
will enlighten us.
But
what happened?
But my point is, when you look how safe is Riga, for example, in Latvia, it says generally moderate level of safety, violent crime is rare, mugging, kidnapping is highly unlikely, pickpocketing and petty crime, I checked it, of course, it says medium rare risk, especially pickpockets are present but not rampant, and there's a couple of hotspots, of course, in the old town, in the central bus station, train station, central market, these kind of things. Bag snatching, blah, 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 distracting, targeting tourists to display valuables. Sure, right? Obviously, if you look super rich, then you might better be, you have a target on you, right? So look poor. That's always good explain. Good.
I'm very good at that.
So basically, keep valuables close, avoid displaying expensive items, all of that stuff, right? Then cautious in bars and nightclubs, normal stuff. That's basically all. It's nothing worse than any other big city, right, in the world. So I guess that's all just, and it's fine. It's like, it's generally safe. So I always feel like, okay, see, I have friends who take the bus in London and they wear their Pateks and their Rolex Submariners and GMT Masters for years. And when I ask them about watch crime in London, they look at me like, what are you talking about? They had no idea, right? So they just go along their life and it's like another 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 people with expensive watches and stuff who don't even realize this. Of course, that doesn't mean that there's no mugging. And of course, everybody who that happened to is one too many. But it's not as rampant as sometimes we feel. It doesn't help when you are the person who is affected. right? And I'm not saying it can't be me, because that's always the stuff, but the chances are low.
But you're also a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So I think
And I can
many
look
of
very
these
angry.
little thieves, yeah, you can, and no, that's more mentally deranged. But
which is also
I think
an insurance premium you have. If you look like you are going, you have rabies, then maybe people are a bit more careful.
exactly. Now, I was going to say one other thing. At the end of the day, you probably shouldn't own a watch that, if it was stolen or lost or whatever, you would go financially bankrupt or into ruin. That would probably be a good
No, I think
path to follow.
That's 100%. I agree with that. I mean, if my watch collection would be completely stolen, I would cry. But it's not in my
Life would
retirement
go on.
planning, right? It's not. So it's that's why I think it's that, and that shouldn't be. It has value, and I'm happy that it does, but it doesn't. It's not that something that I'm banking on in the future.
Yes, of course.
Right? So.
And it sometimes could come in handy, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So when I had both of the cars destroyed, I thought to myself, first things first, okay, I sell the watches and I buy a new car.
Yep.
Right? I could buy 2 cars easily on the collection that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this as well, and you even generously said, I'll gift you a G-Shock so you don't have to go around with an empty wrist. In the same vein, like, I would just keep my Hamilton khaki or something, right?
Yeah.
Keep something cheap that's 1,000, 2,000 dirhams, and you wouldn't care, and you'd still be a member of the watch community, right? You'd still have a watch. So it ends up becoming, this is how I feel it should be done. The watches, if you need it, can help you out of a sticky situation. But if you've spent all of your money on watches and you're, literally, I can imagine this happening, right? Some guy finally buys his first, AP to flex on all of his friends, and then he's in financial turmoil on the backside. If that gets stolen, he's, done. How is he going to pay back his credit card?
Yeah, or even if you're paying stuff on, if you're financing your watches or whatever. I mean, that can be, if your asset is gone, that sucks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once again, this is also, and I now we can get into other kind of investing, right? This is the people that want to invest, and then you keep it in a lockbox somewhere. But even the lockbox can get stolen. I saw a very nice little video on Netflix about this.
Yes,
right? Where was it, in Belgium, where they have the big diamond district, and all of the vaults and the safes got heisted. So nothing is actually safe, and you can invest in the real estate market. That can tank. Your house can burn down. You can invest in stocks.
There's always
the stock
a risk.
Can go down.
Yeah, but coming back to the safety deposit boxes and stuff, you have to be very clever about it, because I noticed from a lot of European companies, these safety deposit boxes are not insured.
Yes, correct.
Most of them
they're there for paperwork
not.
And stuff like this.
So they are for valuables and other things, but they are still not insured. And here in Dubai, I checked a couple of safety deposit boxes. They have a maximum insurance level for each of the boxes, depending on their size, and that's it, right? But they are insured, right? So that is a good thing. Most of them are, not all, right? You have to check, right? Some are not. So be careful, because we had this in a friend of mine had this where in a bank in Germany, his deposit box got missing. It wasn't a robbery or anything. Somehow they lost it. Who knows what happened, right? But his thing was gone, and maybe it was exchanged by mistake. Who knows what happened? It's terrible, but. And he had to run around for years to get his money back, because they also said we give you whatever, 100,000 euros. And he said well, that's not even, a tenth of what I had in this box. And they said, well, we don't care what you have in the box. You never told us what is in the box. And so, it's like, so they found at some stage some arrangement, but insist on having an insurance for this deposit box. Sometimes you need to pay that extra. But I think it's
who knows?
Because I know
John Goldberger, right? He keeps mentioning this in his videos. He's like, oh yeah, so the watches are in the safe or in the safety deposit box or wherever, right? I mean, he's got racks and racks and racks of watches. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine they're not insured, right? I'm sure.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, sometimes if you have a safe and for all of this other stuff, then you probably think, what can happen, right? Because even if somebody breaks in, you cannot get a 500 kilo safe out of the apartment or a house.
But have you heard of a little movie called The Italian Job?
Yes. Of course.
Where they blew the...
But then that's multi-million dollars, right? So I guess then that's a different story.
It was $100 million, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So, and that was the new movie, of course, not the old one. I don't remember what happened in the old one. But the new one in 2003, they stole $100 million, if I recall, by blowing a hole underneath where the vault was. And it fell into the water in Venice. So, anyway. Okay, enough chit-chat.
Yeah. So
let's talk about today's
decide
topic.
what watch I will take with me. Yes. Or no. I don't know. Yeah.
The Dougie is, speaking of the Dougie, is the Dougie a field watch?
Yeah, I would say probably not. Because...
Why? I would say it is.
Yeah, because my definition of a field watch is, when I look at the classification, they always say like it has to be a compact size, 36 to 42. So that would fit. It has to be a
42 is compact?
Yeah. Well, that's, manual or automatic movement, which it does. So all fine. Simple design, no unnecessary.
No, you can have, whoa.
Right? No unnecessary.
You can have a quartz field watch.
Well, not in the traditional sense, but maybe you can. All right. Simple design.
By definition, the CWC, the Cabot Watch Company, the G10 or whatever they call it?
Yeah,
the one that is physically issued.
When they came out in the 40s, there was no quartz. So,
okay,
right?
Yes,
so
correct.
Technically, yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Nowadays, yes. Then the simple design, also no unnecessary complications. The Dougie has the date, which I guess you could just get away with. Legibility, clear, easy to read, and high contrast numerals. That definitely it will fit the bill. Durability.
And do remember, the Dougie you can get without a date.
You can, yes. Absolutely.
You can choose date or no date. So.
Durability is harsh conditions, shock resistance, water resistance. It does have all of this. 100-meter water resistance, no screw-down crown, but 100 meters water resistant, and of course shock protection. It's a good Sellita SW400 movement in it, so that is robust. I think yes,
so why
you
is it
could
not?
actually call it because I think it's too flashy. That is my point. It's just like it's not the military-inspired aesthetic. It is a very utilitarian look. It's a very clean look, but it looks, I think, a bit too nice. Then of course. I have it on a bracelet at the moment, so it's not on a nylon or leather strap, which usually you would have a field watch on, which is again weird because, no, actually it's not weird. A leather strap is just what was there at the time, right? So,
well, they had bracelets.
Let's do the reverse. What is not a field watch would be a dressy or flashy design. And this is a bit
chronograph.
where the complex complications. Anything that is a chronograph, a moon phase, or world time, that is not a field watch. If it's too large, too heavy, right, or fragile, too fashion, just too flashy, I think, in its appearance, that could be then considered not a field watch. And there's just this one thing is that I think this lovely Fume dial, even though it's super legible and super easy to read the time on this watch, which every time I look at it, think like, wow, this is such a nice design. I'm really in love with this watch. I really think it's a fantastic watch. And especially with the dial layout I have, the Purist 2, Type 2, I just find this amazing. The Type 1 has not even the numbers, the numerals. It just has indices. It's even clearer or simpler. So that would probably be the field watch for me. The Type 1.
All right. Let's talk about a little bit of history, because I think we've talked about this before, but I'm going to recap what is
So what is the history of?
Because the thing is, this is the whole point of this discussion: is no one really knows today what a field watch is. It's up to your interpretation, right? So we're going to talk about what we think a field watch is, because it is extremely hit or miss, right? So essentially, remember, everyone had pocket watches. Then World War I rolls around and they say, pocket watches are not very convenient. We're sitting there in a trench with guns. How am I supposed to take out a pocket watch and look at it? So people said, okay, we will weld some lugs onto your pocket watch.
And then
they were still gigantic, right? And then you can put a leather strap and strap it on your wrist. And this became known as a trench watch.
Yes. And that's why
trench watch, still extremely not very accurate. It's not very versatile. It is big. It's fragile. It has a gigantic glass crystal. So there's a lot of things that...
They had some of them, or in World War I, had already rugged cases and even radium dials.
The radium dials they had, but they also had some grills on top of some of them, like case protectors.
Shatter resistant, more or less, right? For the glass, right? So they put some stuff in it there. But
very much like what's it called? The Cartier Pasha.
Yes.
No, I was going to say the Cartier Pasha. That comes with a grill.
Yes.
Depending on which one you get.
Yeah, but then you can't read it anymore. Yeah, but that's true. Yeah.
After the 1920s, of course, World War I ends, and people are saying.
And then also, wait a second. When you had these watches, a lot of people actually were on the inside of the wrist, right? So facing you when you hold a gun, you can still read the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
but they also say the reason is also to not give away your position, because the glass would have reflected light. So if it's inset, then it would reflect back at you.
Correct.
Right? Not giving away your position. So then, essentially, once people realized that this was not a very versatile and functional watch, then right before World War II, in the 1930s, some militaries set out, specifically the British military, to come up with a new style of military watch. So they had the British had this MOD certification, which, if you've seen it from the James Bond No Time to Die watch, it's the upside down V with the line in the middle. That's MOD certification. And essentially, they came out with what everyone knows and calls the Dirty Dozen, right?
Yes.
So Dirty Dozen denoted just this MOD specific look. They wanted, there was a few things that they wanted, or I guess they didn't want, they said they had to have.
Yeah, that's was military specifications, of course, yeah.
Yes,
they come
exactly.
Up with that.
So what did they have? They said that they wanted numerals around the dial.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted essentially, I believe, they wanted Lume, and they wanted highly legible dials, black dials. And then they said, I remember them saying that they could either be center seconds or sub-seconds. Either one was fine, but it had to have seconds.
Yep.
So going through all this, they ended up giving a bunch of 12 dozen, right? Companies this contract. So the companies were Buren, Sima, Eterna, Grana, JLC, Lemania, Longines, IWC, Omega, Record, Timor, and Vertex. These were the original Dirty Dozen. Each one literally created almost the same exact watch.
Yeah, because you have to follow the exact specification. So there was no point in making it different. You just followed the specification as good as you can.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's kind of how this field watch thing started, from these old 1930s MOD specifications.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there is some confusion about the two types of watches, because we have these, what we call field watches, and then we also have Flieger watches.
Pilot's watches.
Or Mark style watches, which are pilot watches, right? And that was still in the Second World War. Both of them were used. One was for people on the ground, and one was for people flying an airplane.
The pilot's watches or Flieger watches, that's why they have a German name, is because that specification was coined or made for the German Luftwaffe. right, at the time. So they had this kind of specification for the Flieger watches, for the pilot's watches. And then they had two, the Type A and Type B. And these are the different ways. One had the minutes around the minute track, and one had the hours, basically, or no indices there.
And if I'm not mistaken, they all have center seconds, right? They have to have center seconds. So not sub-seconds like the field.
And they were pretty big. They were meant to be worn over your jackets, because in the old bombers that were flying very high, it was very cold. They didn't have heating or anything in their planes, so they had gloves on. They needed to manipulate the crown and wind the watches. So that's why the onion crown was very big. So you could use that still with your gloves on. And it was just a big watch because it was supposed to be also very easy to read, right? While field watches were really worn in combat, so they couldn't be too big and too bulky. They had to just, not too heavy as well. So you wanted something that is small and agile. Flieger or pilot's watches, you didn't have that problem. You would just be sitting in a cockpit, right? So you can have it a bit bigger and more visual. So. But on the other hand, also the Americans had a dirty dozen, but it was only a dirty 3. So it was a dirty triplet.
Yes.
And their companies was I think it was Elgin, Waltham, and Bulova who were contracted to make these. Which
here's what's really funny.
A11 watches.
Is everyone, if I say, gun to your head, name one field watch, what are you naming?
CVC.
No.
Smith.
That's what you would go for?
Yeah.
I would say Hamilton khaki. That would be my first.
Nowadays, yes, but it wasn't for me my first. Nowadays, yes, they're making the most field watches. But historically,
exactly, they're the ones that epitomizes. Exactly. So the funny thing is they were not in the American list nor the British list.
Yes.
But I would say today make the most iconic, quote unquote, field watches, right?
True. But it's funny because now when you look, for example, for a Flieger watch, you immediately would say, for me, IWC. But there's also Laco and all of these German manufacturers who back in the days made Flieger watches and still do, right?
Yeah.
Which is, crazy.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned this, but apparently the Flieger watches had to have higher caliber standards. And be more precise than the field watches.
Yeah, because that's more about real precision, also for navigating, right? So obviously, if you fly 20 seconds in one direction, then you need to fly 30 seconds in another direction, and so on.
Yeah,
that's when it's precision is needed, especially when you're bombing something like cities and stuff. That's obviously you don't
want to miss.
Yeah, exactly. And a few seconds can mean a very big difference, right? But in any case, what I wanted to say about the precision, regardless of what we are talking about, most of these missions, even if it's field watches, they would synchronize their watches every day, right, towards another watch, right? Basically, that was more accurate or what was considered to be the standard in this whatever you are synchronizing to. Some would also do radio signals where they would actually sync it to a radio signal, just so to make sure that everything happens at the same time. And they realized of how powerful that can be to be absolutely synchronized by the second, for example, for attacks and other things, right? If somebody attacks 5 minutes before the other one, if you have two flanks, it can be a problem, right? So if you do it at the same time, then you can really surprise the opponent. That's why I think there's timekeeping was extremely important, and especially then with modern warfare, right? Or more modern warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And the synchronization. But then again, that's what I'm saying. Even when the bomber pilots left, right, and flew for a couple of hours somewhere, they would then still synchronize the watches before leaving, so that to make sure that everybody's on the same time to the second.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So essentially, then it wasn't once again until much later that Hamilton and a few other companies started making similar watches to what people were making back in the 40s, right? So this is in the 60s. Vietnam War era, essentially, is when Hamilton even started with, there was a different military, the U.S. military, whatever you call it, what'd you call it? The specifications, right? So they had a mil dash whatever number specifications that Hamilton and Elgin and a few other American makers met, right? Then they also had Marathon and a few other watches, or big companies making them. Then, of course, nowadays, field watches have gone quartz, as we said before. But that still begs the question. So essentially, anything can be a field watch.
That fits
anything
the other...
within certain... Yeah, that fits this bill, right? Yeah. So, do field watches have to have all 12 numerals? What do you think?
No, I wouldn't think so.
So, the reason I ask is because a lot of people consider the Rolex Explorer a field watch. And that only has 3 sets of numerals, right? 369. So the question is, would that be a field watch?
Sorry, say that again.
Is the Rolex Explorer a field watch?
See, this is when I look at these lists that are just found on the internet about what is actually a field watch, with this whole...
Half say yes, half say no.
With a simple design, durability, legibility, it fits most of it, right? I think it fits.
The only thing
it doesn't fit is the leather strap and nylon strap and the military-inspired aesthetic, which you could say maybe yes. But when you go to what is not a field watch, dressy or flashy design. So there you could say, well, it has some polished surfaces somewhere.
It does. That's what I was going to say.
And that could be one of the reasons where you're saying no, it's not a field watch. But other than that, it's neither too large, not too flashy, unless, of course, that is the polished stuff, right? It's not fashion over function. It is very functional watch. It's robust. It actually fits the bill of a field watch, technically. Just because it is a Rolex and it has some, brushed surfaces somewhere, I'm not 100% sure. And of course, the steel bracelet, which is one of the things that you should not apparently.
So the guy that we like watching on YouTube, this watch, that watch.
Yes, Mike.
Mike. His name, Mike. He said specifically, I think it was him. Yeah, I think it was him. He said that in his opinion, the field watch in the Rolex catalog ends at the Tudor Ranger.
Yes, the Tudor Ranger.
Once you go from the Tudor Ranger to the Explorer, which once again, they almost are identical in a lot of different ways. He says the polishing is what essentially is killing it, right?
And
if you look at the Tudor Ranger, still 369, right? Doesn't have full numerals, but
I had the Ranger.
It has no polish.
Yeah,
it's on a strap, matte dial.
It comes on a bracelet as well as on a strap.
Yeah, you can buy it on a strap, is what I'm saying. And the other big thing is there are no marker surrounds for the indices, which the Rolex, of course, has the white gold marker surrounds, right? Which is superfluous. You don't need them, right? No. You can just have Lume painted on a dial.
Yes.
So all of these things would tell you that yes, the Tudor would be, but the Rolex
I must say that the Tudor Ranger is a bit of an underappreciated watch, which I owned this watch once, but then unfortunately some other watch I got the call for another watch basically, and then I had to sell it. But I still miss it because that is a watch that is so simple, no polished surfaces. It's also a lovely bracelet without 4 rivets and stuff. Very, very comfortable. It's a bit like a Datejust, right? When you put it on the wrist, you think suddenly, wow, this is so comfortable. And that way, I would say, it is a perfect everyday watch. It's if you just want one watch and you can wear it basically to everything, it is really, really nice to wear. It's a bit boring, but that's, what you get. Now, next question. Move to the next one. Is an Oyster Perpetual 41 or 36? Could that be a...
So, and this is where things get funny because...
Too flashy. But if you have the black dial one...
I don't know.
It is not... does it have a polished case?
Let's talk about the difference.
Does it have a polished...
It does.
It does a bit, right? Yeah. Some areas are polished.
But the
bracelet is not. Bracelet is
No,
all
but
brushed.
it has the same bracelet as the Explorer. So the question is, what are the differences between the OP and the Explorer? Well, there's a flat bezel on the Explorer, dome bezel on the OP. I would guess domed would be less field watch-y.
And then,
Then the bracelets are identical, except for the Explorer has the locking clasp, which, once again, the OP does not have. The Explorer has the 369, the Mercedes hands filled with Lume, as well as the large triangle at 12 o'clock. All of these are missing on the OP. The OP has stick hands with less Lume. So given all of this, I would say the Explorer would be more field watchy than the OP.
But by a hair.
Yeah, by a hair. But the thing is, by adding the 369, by adding all of these things, the OP is simpler, right? Which by definition, a field watch should be simple. So then I have no idea.
Look, it's I'm sharing this now. This, if you look at it,
it looks field watchy to me. It's extremely.
It does look from the front on. If you just look at head on, it looks very field watchy. You have the beveled bezel, the round
domed bezel.
Domed bezel, which is polished. And I think the sides of the case are polished, or are they not? I'm not 100% sure.
They are.
But other than from the top-down view that we have now, nothing is polished except the bezel, and it looks very utilitarian, very straight,
now,
very simple.
Where's the Explorer?
Yeah, well, we have
put up the Explorer.
Yeah, we have to do that.
And
then.
the Explorer, because of the 369, has it seems like it has a larger amount of white gold around the numerals.
Yeah,
and that really, to me, it seems very silver.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that kind of pops out to me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're putting up here the Explorer 2.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a field watch by any definition, but it's a more tooly watch than I think the OP is. Yeah.
So technically, the Explorer 1 is the same watch. I know it sounds really weird, but it is basically the same watch, right?
Different bezel.
The only thing, it's not domed, but it's
different
still polished, right?
Different hands, different dial.
Yeah, it has the Mercedes
yes.
hands, our hand, yeah. But
and look, no applied coronet at 12 o'clock.
No, it doesn't. It does have the printed one. It has the big triangle,
printed, which I think is more sporty.
And of course, it has this squeezed text on 12 o'clock because there's also the crown there, which, is one of the things that a lot of people criticize about the new model is that the Explorer moved up to the...
I don't criticize it. Yes, the old 39 millimeter, the 214270 had the Explorer text at the bottom, but historically the Explorer text should be at the top. That's where it's always been.
Yeah.
It was only that 214270 that brought it down.
Yeah. So I think technically, if you really, and I'm looking here at my sub that I'm wearing, I would say, I guess it's a field watch, in the modern sense. It is the.
Show me the OP again.
Oh, I
think I see one more difference.
Okay, yeah, I have closed this. Let me just put a new one.
How dare you?
Yeah, because I was on the
I think there is one more difference that we haven't talked about, which could make or break our argument.
Seriously?
And I think I'm right.
Oh my goodness.
One of the requirements was, remember that you have a running second, right? Well, This has a stick without any luminous markers on the second hand. Meanwhile, the Explorer has a Lume pip on the second hands, meaning you could see that your second hand was running in the dark.
That is true.
And I think that's a big.
It's not in
once again,
it's not in the specifications, but
no, but I think that
right.
is something that would be important to have, right?
For a dive watch, for example, it's mandatory.
Exactly what I was
thinking.
That
it's
so
running,
that means,
right? Especially for.
I would like to know this in the dark if I was in war.
Yeah, totally.
I think I would like to know when my watch is working.
100% agree. You need to know. So, you need to know the seconds. Yeah. Yep.
There you have it.
There you have it. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't really think we are.
So we cracked it. So that's it.
We cracked the code. No, I don't think so.
he can now retire. That's it. No, but I think you're right. So the Explorer is more of the field watch of the modern lineup. The most field watch Rolex you can have.
Yes.
Let's say it this way.
But of course, the Tudor Ranger beats it by a country mile, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just because of the lack of polish.
Yeah. And yeah, with exactly lack of polish and just being.
But well, the sides weren't polished either. It was all.
I think not.
Do you remember?
I think not. I mean, I didn't have it for a long time, but let me see. What is it even called here? Is it a sport watch? I don't even know. Is it a sport watch?
A classic watch?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a sport watch. The Ranger.
Oh, and they also have the 12 369. So they do have one extra.
Yeah. So I think it is not polished on the sides. Yeah, no, it's not polished on the sides here, you see.
And the bezel as well is not polished.
Everything is brushed.
Everything is brushed. So there you go. I think this is the epitome.
Yeah.
Then again, I would still say I would prefer, if it was a field watch, to have numerals all the way around.
And it has a Lume pip, right? On the second hand as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Sorry, what would you have? What did you say? What do you want?
If we go to the Hamiltons, the Hamilton khakis, my thing that I really like is, this is the later American military standard, was that they have both the 12-hour and 24-hour numerals, both one inside the other, right? And you would be surprised at how well this works. I mean, it is just so clean. It's so easy, so legible. Obviously, this is not the original field watch.
Well, actually, funny enough, if you look at the Hamilton khaki Murph, it's now available in white. And
yes,
the white was actually the first field watch that the American military specified had a white dial. And then they changed it to black later on because it was obviously a bit too bright.
Flashy, yeah.
At night.
But I think this is the original Hamilton khaki, the original Hamilton khaki Murph comes in very, very nicely as a traditional field watch.
I think so, yeah.
But if we look at the khaki mechanical,
because of the syringe hands and how it's
this is
designed,
cathedral hands.
Yeah, okay.
It's a cathedral.
This the hour hand, yeah. But the way of how the length of these, the second hand, and here is the second hand is actually not loomed, but anyhow.
I know.
But it's so precise to read exactly the minute. I mean, like up to the minute, right? Or exactly the second on this watch.
To the second.
It's really amazing of how easy it is to read the time. Similar from my DUG, where it is just so easy to read. So, yeah.
Pull up the, hold on, before you go do your Dougie, I want to see the Hamilton khaki field mechanical on here because I want to dissect that one.
Okay.
Mechanical. The traditional, original, non-quartz, not the quartz.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. So.
Keep going.
Use
there.
mechanical bronze.
Any of those. Those are. It doesn't matter which material we choose.
Bronze.
There is a tiny pip of Lume on the second hand.
Yeah.
That is added back. But then the other big thing is, once again, how neatly these are syringe hands, and these syringe hands point so neatly to the numerals or the minute track or the second track, that it becomes extremely legible.
Yeah.
And in a pinch, you can always, tell 24-hour time or 12-hour time. And that's also very cool.
Yeah, because military time, as it's called in some other areas, right? We're saying, okay, military time is in 2100 instead of 9 o'clock at 9 p.m., right? So, yeah. You're absolutely right. And
which is also very funny because in most of Europe, we go by, military time on paper, right? You don't say, I want to train at 5 o'clock p.m. You say, I want to train at 17. But no one verbally says this.
No.
At least in Hungary, we never do.
No. Also
so we
in
always
Germany.
say, okay, I'll see you at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, of course.
And then, but you write 17.
Yep.
Which Why?
Yes, because we're still saying 5. We're still saying 10 o'clock. But this is what I think most people who are not used to military time are not used to. That we still say 5 or 7. Let's meet at 8. But because we don't have, when we write it down, we take 20 or 8 because instead of AM or PM, right? That's just
Because if I'm speaking to someone, we kind of know what we're saying, or we ask for clarification, right?
Yeah.
But in military, you don't say 5 p.m. You say 1700, which then defeats or solves that issue as well. All right, here's your Dougie. Yeah, your Dougie Doug.
That's exactly the Dougie I have, and this is.
It is very polished.
Yeah, it is very polished. That's why I'm saying it's a bit too flashy for dress watch. Sorry, for field watch, and that's why I think.
But the minute track,
everything else,
the railroad minute track looks very much like the original Dirty Dozen watches.
Yeah, and now if we're taking the Purist Type 1, where you have not the numerals but the just stick indices, it's even cleaner, right?
That's borderline dress watch.
Yes.
Right? That's almost dressy.
Correct.
Or it is dressy, but it's almost a dress watch. Yeah. But I would say it's not a dress watch because it has Lume.
I have now new colors. Tonka brown. Moon white. Also very nice.
What is Tonka brown? What is a Tonka?
Tonka. I don't know what is Tonka. Tonka is a color. What is Tonka? That is a question for our AI co-pilot. What is Tonka?
In German.
Oh. Mean in German. Okay, so our AI will come up with a super idea. It means Tonka bean.
Tonka bean.
Ah, see?
Yes, it's a seed of some sort.
And that is a fragrance seed from the Dipteryx odorata tree. It's used in perfumery, cooking, and cosmetics. So in German, it's called Tonka Bohne, and it's known for its sweet, spicy scent. So obviously, the Tonka bean has this color, I guess.
There you go.
There you go.
The things you learn on this channel.
Yeah.
All right. So,
do you own?
Let's wrap up.
Which watch that you own is the closest to a field watch?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to suggest here.
That's what
let's wrap up by saying what we own that is a field watch and what we would recommend to others in a field watch category. So, I would say that my Mercy LMM H01 is kind of a field watch, but the legibility of it is lacking because it's gray with white.
Yes.
Obviously, my Hamilton Khaki is going to be the epitome of field watches, not in the Dirty Dozen variety, but in the modern American military specification variety.
Yeah.
And then the Explorer is a question mark still.
So I think just generally from my perspective, my design is funny enough. If you look at these two, the Gérard Perregaux and the Laureato in black, and also the Overseas, very simple dial, technically, very field watchy from a design. Then there's Grand Seiko and the the Panerai.
Panerai.
Also very simple.
The Grand Seiko is a GMT, so that you lost out immediately for complication.
Too many complications.
The Panerai is too big, so that's out of the conversation.
Then
the Vacheron, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, too flashy.
The Laureato, I don't know. GP has some numerals on it, right? Does it only have a 12 or does it have a 12 and a 6?
No, it has nothing. It has just a GP there.
Oh, is it GP? I thought it was 12.
No. Just so I think if it's not the Dougie, then I have these two, the Hamilton and the Breitling here. Oops, on the top, and the Super Ocean, but it doesn't. It's too busy, I think. So I would say probably the closest Dougie. is the Dougie. Then there you go.
So when I asked you, what do you think about what is the epitome of a field watch? What did you say? You mentioned two names.
the epitome of a field
When
watch,
I asked
or what
you-
comes to mind?
Yeah. Well, which one comes to your mind?
For me, it's CWC and
C-
and Smith, the British.
So
producers.
Smiths, of course, but here's the problem with Smiths. Smiths is a 1-to-1 almost reissue,
Yes,
your reissue or a competitor to the Explorer.
Yeah, it is.
So if Smiths Everest is a field watch, then so is the Explorer,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So for
So
me, as
that's
the
question.
closest I ever had to the proper, really field watch is the Ranger, of course, the Tudor Ranger. I think that's the current best field watch version that you can say in the luxury brand area. But this
But what about the Type 20,
Type 20.
the IWC, or Mark 20?
Mark 20.
Not Type
Oh,
20.
yeah, true.
Mark
But that's
20.
more a Flieger watch because of the design.
Yeah, but
hand
it's
design.
more aligned with what? Because remember, it's smaller.
I agree.
Therefore,
I agree.
It loses
I agree.
the Flieger-ness.
It's so weird that they have it actually a plane on the back.
And they have a 36 millimeter as well.
Yeah,
They call it the
they have
36 millimeter
they have a
pilot.
plane on the back, even though it actually is a very field watchy watch. Yeah, I agree. It is perfect. It actually is a perfect field watch, though they don't see it as a field watch. They have it categorized as a Flieger pilot watch.
Yeah, they do. But if you go to the big pilots and all those, of course, I would say those are going to be.
Yeah.
But even then, they are. I know the big pilot, the big pilot, the 45 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think 45
Yeah.
has a small seconds, doesn't it? Or
They
no, it's
do
a
have
power reserve.
some
Has
with
some kind of sub.
some have small seconds, some don't. I think it depends. Maybe
But the big pilot 43 has a center seconds, and that one, no, they both have center seconds. They have a subdial for power reserve.
I think when we are going into the chronos, because they also do Flieger chronos, right? Which is
No. This I'm looking at regular. What the subdial is in the 46 or 44 or 45, whatever it is, big pilot, and I'm seeing a subdial. I'm just waiting for the page to load. It is. Yeah, it's a power reserve for how many days, plus it has a date window, which I think neither of those things would have been on an original Flieger.
right.
But the Big Pilot 43 is, I think a very, very good depiction of what a Flieger is. And I think the Mark 20 is a very good depiction of what a field watch is. So even brands can't distinguish. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the point of our story is no one knows what a field watch really looks like.
Nope.
Anything can be a field watch, and therefore this was pointless.
Yes. Rewind and pretend you didn't listen.
Yes, exactly. At least you might have learned some history and some other things about field watches.
Exactly.
So
See you next week.
on that bombshell, bye-bye.
Bye bye. See you.